Okay, getting to this topic. There are two phrases in the title, neoliberalism and global order. I'd like to say a bit about each of them. These are topics of enormous human significance. They're not very well understood, I think. The term neoliberalism suggests a system of principles that is in the first place new, and in the second place based on classical liberal ideas. Adam Smith is typically revered as the patron saint. The same set of doctrines is also called the Washington Consensus, which may suggest something about global order. If we take a closer look, I think we find that the suggestion about global order is fairly accurate, but not the rest. The operative doctrines are not at all new, and they are very remote, in my opinion, from the leading ideas that animated the classical liberal tradition since the Enlightenment. Well, before proceeding, a side comment on terminology. The terminology of social and political discourse is not a model of crystal clarity. In this area, it is hopeless. So hopeless that communication is almost impossible. The standard usage here today is almost the reverse of traditional usage, which is also common elsewhere in the world. So what we call here liberal in most places is called something like social democratic, and what is called liberal in the tradition and virtually everywhere else, we don't really have any name for. Sometimes it's called conservative, sometimes it's called libertarian, which just introduces even more confusion because the term libertarian is used here as virtually the antithesis of the traditional usage and the usage in most other places. Here, libertarian means extreme capitalist, which does indeed draw on a strand of classical liberalism, although not Adam Smith, I don't think, at least not the way I read him. But the traditional usage, and in fact the common usage elsewhere, libertarian is used for anti-authoritarian, which means anti-capitalist and anti-state. In fact, it's the traditional anti-state wing of the socialist movement, which also claims roots in classical liberalism, not without reason, I think. Anyhow, these varying usages make communication very difficult and introduce endless confusions. Although one could argue that it doesn't really matter very much, the reason is that the actual practice deviates so far from the professed doctrines that even if they were clearly expressed, it would be a sort of matter of secondary importance, at least for understanding policies and practice. It's very important for understanding the doctrinal framework, or what in more honest days used to be called propaganda, and considered a very good thing. In fact, even the essence of democracy in pretty much across the spectrum of modern political thought, including progressive tendencies. It's an important topic in itself, but one that I won't go into here. Well, anyway, that's a problem of communication. I hope it won't be too confusing.